Fair use.
Nicole Maliotakis is the Republican from New York, and she joins me now to talk about this. Congresswoman, good morning. Look, let's begin. I know you're not a fan of this plan, right?
Well, of course I'm not a fan of this plan. It's absolutely outrageous. Not only does New York City have a housing crisis, we have an affordability crisis. People are renting apartments in New York City for thousands and thousands of dollars. People are having difficulty paying their mortgage, paying their rent, keeping up with their property taxes that have increased year after year. And the mayor is now telling hardworking taxpayers that they need to pay so individual who crossed into our country illegally at the border last week can live rent-free. I mean, what planet are we living on? It's absolutely outrageous. And the mayor, I've said it before, needs to challenge, and he is, by the way, finally, after I've been calling for him for a year, to challenge this right to shelter law. It's finally going to go before a judge, because this was intended for homeless New Yorkers, right? Citizens who fell in difficult times, became homeless, to give them a shelter, not for individuals who just entered our country last week or citizens of other countries. And, you know, it's just, of course, this is going to continue to just incentivize individuals to come over our border. That's exactly what's going to happen. He says they keep coming, they keep coming.
The thing is, like, New Yorkers should protest and say, we have homeless people. We have people who are on the streets for how many years? And we have not used that law. It's time for New Yorkers to stand up and protest against Mayor Eric Adams. Okay. Also, isn't it funny that they don't have money for reparations, but they have all of a sudden this money to house people who are illegal immigrants, people who we don't know if they have diseases, we don't know if they are criminals, and we don't know if they have any other diseases, and you're just bringing them over here. Don't you find that kind of crazy?
Coming because you're giving them free housing.
You know what strikes me about this, Congresswoman, is the fact that for so long, those people, especially in New York and other, cities far away from the border, were very critical of the efforts to prevent people from coming illegally into the country. They were 2,000 miles away from where it was happening, but now it's on their doorstep, and they're getting a taste of what Arizona and Texas has been dealing with for years. So there's a little bit of, you know what, this is the reality of the situation. It'd be interesting to see if they change their mind on unfettered, migration across the border. Whatever happened to Homeland Security?
You're absolutely right. And in a city, in post 9/11 world, New York City of all.
Another thing about Homeland Security, they have a very high self-deletion rate for the things they are going through and the things they're witnessing, and they're not taking care of them. The government doesn't care about what they're going through, what they have to see. Okay, and that is sad. Anything to try to get Joe Biden reelected, and that's what this is really about. Okay, because they know if they just they protect those borders, if they try to right now, it's going to be late in the game and people already are fed up with Biden. So it's crazy, man. It's wild. That's all I can tell you. It is extremely wild what's going on. No concern for the safety and well-being of New Yorkers. Okay. And like I said before, you do not know the history of these illegal immigrants coming over. Men, the women, you do not know the history or the trauma these children have gone through crossing the border. And that's dangerous because you could be raising these kids right, but you don't know the psychological damage that they have been through. And when they get to an old enough age and that trauma is not dealt with, they could turn on that family. That could be a Trojan horse right then and there. A lot of people, a lot of New Yorkers, if they even try to think this is okay, they're going to die. There's going to be be prepared to see a lot of headlines of tragedies because that happened during the Obama administration. A man took in a family from another country. Next thing you know, his family paid the price. They were cut up in pieces.
places should understand the dangers of having an open border. We found terrorists on the suspected FBI terror watch list attempting to cross over. Even in the interior, we found them. But in addition to that, you have the fentanyl, enough fentanyl to kill millions of Americans being found on a regular basis now. The drug cartels have set up operations in our cities. It all needs to be stopped, and it can only be stopped if the president undoes the policies he put in place and secures the border, or if the Senate takes up the House's border security bill, which we passed last month. Senator Schumer has not passed our bill, and he has not passed his own bill. So he has to do something here so we can reconcile our differences and move forward. So short of the president or Senator Schumer doing something on border security, we're going to continue to see this crisis, and we should not have a mayor that continues to incentivize it. You know what's happening today in Washington? We've got the New York City Council Speaker, we've got the New York City Finance Chairman, Justin Brannan, here lobbying for more money so they can continue to add shelters, so they can continue to provide housing for migrants. I'm just not going to support that type of policy. We need to get border security in place, and we can work on immigration too, by the way. We should be addressing the issues of visas. We should be addressing the issues of judges and other matters so we can have a proper asylum process that flows and order at the border. But what's going on right now is unacceptable.
Absolutely. Close the border. Congresswoman Malliotakis, thank you so much.
All right. Oh, but it gets worse, people. It gets worse. Hold on a second here. Because Mayor Mike Adams is not done yet. Oh, he ain't done yet. This is what he suggests. Wait for it. Since, New York City, residents are having a hard time paying their bills, their mortgages, and their rent, here's what he suggests.
And it's not just these houses of worship that could be welcoming migrants.
That's right. Mayor Adams also suggesting today that the city could pay people to house migrants in private residences. Sharon Crowley has more on the mayor's idea and whether he has the power to actually make it policy. Sharon.
Yeah.
You know who the demographic that's going to be kind of desperate to do this? Single mothers. Not picking on you, but I know some of y'all facing some hard times, and some of y'all will do this. Not only thinking about the money. Some of you will do this, unfortunately.
Yeah, Steve, New Yorkers willing to take in an asylum seeker into their home could be paid by the city.
And I'm seeing it happening in the projects that they will pull this mess.
For doing just that. It's a hypothetical right now. The mayor's considering every option as he looks to find new ways to house thousands of newcomers who continue to arrive in the city each week.
The closer we bring the asylum seekers and the migrants to everyday New Yorkers, the easier it will be for them to transition into society.
Mayor Adams saying he's open to paying private homeowners to put up asylum seekers. Right now, it's just an idea that he's floating.
It's cheaper and it's a good investment for us to go to a family and assist them instead of placing people in large congregate settings or in these emergency hotels.
Each week, thousands of single adults and families arrive here on buses from border states. The mayor says finding housing for everyone has become increasingly difficult. He recruited faith leaders to open up churches, synagogues, and mosques. And now the mayor is considering taking things a step further by asking private homeowners.
I cringe when it comes to the Catholic Church. Cringe.
To share their space. The mayor says any New Yorker willing to house migrants would be paid by the city.
Technically, short-term rentals of 30 days or less are illegal in New York City. So if this is going to be something less than 30 days, they would have to change the existing law.
New York City civil rights attorney Ken Belkin says the mayor could issue an executive order to temporarily change laws.
Given the state of the crisis with the influx of migrants into New York City, it's unprecedented, and I do think his emergency powers would allow him to make an executive order to do this.
The mayor has proposed a number of shelter options since the start of this crisis, many ending in controversy. An earlier plan to house men in tents on City Island and then on Randall's Island was scrapped amid flooding concerns. Putting migrants in school gyms also fell flat with parents and students. It means the mayor has been forced to get creative, and he'll have to keep it up as each week new families keep coming.
This is not sustainable.
Well, the mayor says the shelter system is already stretched to its limits. I reached out to the New York Immigration Coalition to see what they think of housing asylum seekers in private homes here in New York City, and they told me they don't have a response yet since it's still just an idea.
How about ship them somewhere else? Ship them back to their country. How about that? We do not have the resources or the space to maintain these illegal immigrants. How about that? But they ain't going to do that. Not going to do that at all. Like I said, I just think this is a dirty trick to try keep the power. That's what they're trying to do. That is what they are trying to do. All right. It's insane. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he's open to potential paying private homeowners to put up asylum seekers. Okay. This is an insane move because at the end of the day, what type of insurance they're going to get? That's what I like to know. What type of insurance are they going to get just in case they get harmed in the process? Will the insurance be able to cover it? That's what I like to know. Will that cover what they're going through? Because what I do know is the fact that, they're going to make that money back with taxes. They're slick. Okay. They know what they're doing. So the best thing to do is for people to move out of New York City. That's the only logical thing. Move out of New York City and go to New York State. Move to Long Island. Move to places where, they're not going to allow this to happen. That is what you could do. That's your best bet. Okay. Because parts of Long Island, New York State, they're not going to let that fly. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be a fight. That's what will happen. All right. New York mayor pitches paying residents to house migrants. New York welcomes as many as 700 migrants each day. New York City's mayor pitched a new idea. Residents welcome migrants into their homes. A new survey says 90% of migrants in New York City intend to seek asylum. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says as many as 700 migrants are arriving each day in the Big Apple, scrambling to find housing for them. Adams tossed around the new idea, having residents open their doors and welcome migrants into their homes. There are residents who are suffering right now because of the economic challenges. They have spare rooms. They have locales. Adams said at a recent news briefing, if we can find a way to get over the rules that the government has in place, we can take the $4.3 billion that we potentially would have to spend on to house migrants, and we could put it back into the pockets of everyday New Yorkers, which you will make back in taxes. Adams says he's a big deliverer in leading the charge. I was speaking with the staff to see if I can put a few families into Gracie Mansion the mayor's office resident said, how about if you put them in your own home, Eric Adams, since you want to house them so much? How about you do that? Put them in your own home. Put these migrants in the homes of these Democratic politicians. Let's do that. Ship them all to your houses. Let's see you guys do it first. And then we could see if this little scheme you got will work for everybody else. You know, that makes sense, right? Some Republican governors have protested border security policies by busing or flying migrants to Democratic-led areas such as New York City across the country. Oh man, it's a move that the White House thinks is irresponsible. Busing or flying migrants around the country without any coordination with federal government is dangerous and unacceptable. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, "You're actually putting a lot of pressure on these states and local areas." Well, if you guys are the ones who want this stuff, then you guys should be the one that take care of it. All right. Your idea, your responsibility. New York City currently must house migrants due to its right to shelter laws. No, they don't. That law was made for New Yorkers, and officials have urged the Biden administration to give them more funding and resources. Councilman Robert Holden, who represents Queens, says he thinks this is the wrong way to go about the policy with recent asylum seekers. Okay. The right to shelter came about and from 1979 to about 1981. This was litigation brought on by the state of New York to house anybody that needs shelter. And at that time, it really applied to New Yorkers. Exactly. Holden said during an interview with host Leon Vitret. That's why we think the right to shelter is the wrong way to go on this one, because we can't take in the world. If 1 million people come, do we have the house to house 1 million people and feed them and clothe them? It's ridiculous. The progressive group Make the Road surveyed more than 750 migrants and asylum seekers in New York City. Of those surveyed, 95% intend to seek asylum, and 93% say that they have not found a lawyer. According to the mayor's office, New York City has supported more than 72,000 asylum seekers since last spring, with more than 46,000 still in the city care. The city says if migrants arrivals continue at this pace, they are projected to spend more than $4.3 billion at the end of June 2024. Wow. Insane, man. Insane. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you can afford it, get out of New York City. That's all I can say. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. What do you think about this? Do you think it's okay, or do you think it's wrong? Let me know. All right. Later.